What's going on, guys? Devin and Adam here at Cover 3 Media. We're doing a mock draft for you guys again, but this time with landing spots, as we found a really good YouTuber who dives into NFL mock drafts in the draft. He did a 7-round mock draft, so we're going to use those landing spots to kind of give us different perspective, because there's going to be a lot of players that we like talent-wise that are going to fall in the draft for whatever reason and might go to a landing spot that is not appealing. So that's what we're diving into. I got my Grammy shirt on, Grammy Sunday for Olivia. She won last year. She ain't up for it this year. And then we got Adam with Mr. Batman here. So I'm excited. We really are excited to dive into this with the draft approaching. Got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, guys, I'm excited. I mean, like Devin said, this 7-round mock, it's nice because although some of the landing spots are not, the best, but that's what we expect in the NFL draft. Stuff like that's going to happen. People are going to make some weird picks. And some of our lovely prospects are going to fall into some bad hands. So let's just get right into it with the number one overall pick.
Yeah, so I'll be doing odds and he'll be doing evens. We're going to do a 3-round mock draft here. So first pick, I'm going to go with Bijan Robinson. The mock draft had him going 27th to the Cowboys. There's a lot of uncertainty with the Cowboys, with Tony Pollard being a free agent, and Zeke, they could cut if they really want to. It might be a good idea for them, and bringing a new workhorse to maybe help that offense advance a little bit. So I think Bijan, even in a Superflex format, which is what we're doing, I think it's a no-brainer at 1 still.
I agree. I think some of the other players on this list are a little bit more uncertain, so that's why we got Bijan number 1, and that's been a pretty consensus pick for a lot of other people out there. So with the 102 guys, I'm going to go with Bryce Young. I know there's a lot of debate between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, who's more prepared for the NFL, blah, 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 blah. I'm more of a Bryce Young guy. I still think, CJ Stroud's a great prospect, but I'm just more on Bryce Young. And I think in this mock draft, having him go number 1 overall to the Colts, them trade up to get him like that, that's pretty enticing for me. And I think it's just a better situation than CJ Stroud in Houston. I just think, and based on who is drafted in this mock draft to Houston to help out CJ, I just don't think there's enough there. I think Bryce Young is going to be more surrounded by talent that can help him succeed. We're talking JT for the rushing game. I know Houston's got Dameon Pierce, but JT's on another level. They got a good offensive line. Hopefully, people stick around. Yeah. And then, they got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. So, and then Jelani Woods. So yeah, it's looking pretty good there. I'm liking that situation better for Bryce Young. And I think that the Colts franchise has been a little bit more solid with their, younger quarterbacks that they've drafted over the years, aka Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. So yeah, I like that landing spot for Young, and that's going to warrant him in the number 2 overall pick for me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I would have took Young too. So third pick, got a tough situation here with, do I want to go with the next quarterback or do I want to go with the skill guy? I'm going to go with the skill guy. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. They have him going 45th, I believe, to Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta's a really run-heavy team with their coach. Jahmyr Gibbs is a more dynamic player in the passing game, and he is a good runner as well. Really, a lot of Alvin Kamara comps, which I agree with, but I also think he more could be like an Aaron Jones type player, I think. But I really like the spot for him. There's other teams that I would like that he would go to, but he's getting an early second-round draft capital, which is really appealing. And I think this guy's going to just be a dominant force for PPR, and he might help you win your league in his first year. So, I like Stroud, was my other kind of option, I thought, but we'll see. We'll maybe dive into why I didn't want to take him there. But I'll go Gibbs at 3.
Yep, Gibbs, a great pick there, guys. I think also just to add to it with this landing spot, I think this is a great fit if they don't go after a quarterback, because I think that'll add to their adds to the dynamics of their offense with having a little bit less, solid quarterback play. I know they got Drake London and Kyle Pitts to support, but having such a nice receiving running back like Jahmyr, I think that can add, some more power to their offense. So getting into number 4 overall here in this mock draft, I'm going to go with CJ Stroud, guys. There's one other guy I was considering taking above him here just because I'm not absolutely in love with, CJ Stroud going to the Houston Texans and then not getting another wide receiver in this draft. Right. Just not having as much weapons right away, right out the gates. I can see the Houston Texans expecting Stroud to play game 1. Mm-hmm. So I just don't know how I feel about that. But CJ Stroud, he's still good enough of a prospect for me where I think, hey, I'm going to take him and hope that the Houston Texans can start to, build a team around him for the long term, because this is Dynasty. So
no, right, yeah. I thought about Stroud at 3 too. But yeah, Texans is a tough spot right now. Obviously, they could develop and get more weapons and things around him, but we saw why he was so successful at Ohio State. Obviously, he's a good player, but he had so much damn talent around him, and he's going to get a wake-up call if he goes to Houston when they got not really a ton of weapons and anything close to what he had at Ohio State with potentially 3 receivers in the first round these past 2 years, so, and possibly 2 more next year. So,
and I will say, guys, maybe this is something where if this were to happen for the Texans, they would not be too good next year, and they're going to be in the top 5 to top 10 pick range where they get their hands on Marvin Harrison Jr., and then we're looking sexy.
Oh, we're looking fucking delicious. So tough position here for 5 for me, but I think I'm just going to stick with my receiver 1 right now, and that's JSN. He's going to the Baltimore Ravens 22nd here. I'm a little concerned that Lamar might not be there, but if I had to predict, Lamar should be there, and I think Jackson, Smith, and Jigba could be a really good slot option. You know, that would maybe advance the offense of passing game more. They fired their offense coordinator now, so it's going to maybe look a little bit different. Maybe they will get the passing game going more. You know, with Bateman, Andrews, and then JSN, I think that'd be really nice. Obviously, would love better landing spots for JSN, but I still think this is still pretty good, and I think there'd be a lot of opportunity. Again, a lot of people are, saying, oh, is he only going to be a slot? I will say Justin Jefferson, he was a similar player where he played mainly slot, and everyone was saying, well, I don't think he's going to be able to be dynamic and play on the outside. Well, kind of best receiver in Dynasty to have right now, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with JSN. I don't think he's on that Jefferson level, but I just think the talent's there, and I'd rather take a shot on him than somebody else who might have a little more questions, I guess. So I got JSN at 5, going to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I agree with Devin's take there as far as JSN. I do think, and if he goes to a situation like this in Baltimore, I think he catapults himself to the number 1 option in the offense. I mean, I know Mark Andrews is a beast, but sometimes I think there's a little bit more you can do with a wide receiver. I like that, that he can catapult himself into like potentially the number 1 option in the offense. Personally, I was going to go with Quentin Johnson at that spot just because of the landing spot. I have these guys very close to my rankings. I go back and forth between them, so that's why for the number 6 overall pick, I got to go with Quentin Johnson. I was going to take him number 5 just because it's Green Bay. I know there's uncertainty there with Aaron Rodgers, and that can definitely change things, but I will say who knows what's going to happen in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. So there's always stuff up in the air there. I do like Quentin Johnson still this early on in the draft, because even if he does go to the Packers, because I do, from what I've seen, have faith in Jordan Love. It looked pretty promising, and I think that they would fit nicely together. So we'll just make that one quick for you guys. That's what my selection is.
Yeah, I love it. That's who I thought about, but I went with JSN. But here at 7, tough situation. This is Superflex. He is personally, he's my quarterback 3 probably still right now, but my opinion could change depending once I see the combine more and things like that. But according to this mock draft, they got Will Levis going 9th, Carolina, so I'm going to take him here at 7. I think the hype about him is a little bit weird because, I watched his tape. His numbers haven't looked great. He does have a big arm, but so did Zach Wilson. He is a bigger player, though, than Zach Wilson, so I don't think he's going to be as bad as him, but who the hell knows? I just think with the draft capital going to Carolina at 9, Carolina hopefully having a solid, built around him is why I'm interested in Will Levis. Yes, Anthony Richardson has the higher ceiling, but you'll see where he ends up going here, where I just think the draft capital might be a little more in question, and I don't know if I trust this team that he goes to as much to fully unlock him. But Levis, I think he has the tools, and Frank Reich, was a former quarterback. He's done pretty solid with quarterbacks, not really as well with the Colts lately, but, with what he had, I think was good. And I think Levis does have a very high ceiling, but I think his floor is very questionable, and that's why you really got to evaluate if you got to take a quarterback here, who you really want. And I think if a quarterback goes in the top 10, you really got to look at him in the first round, regardless if you love him or not. And maybe he's a trade piece for you that people might fall in love with in the offseason before the season even starts. Maybe he's in training camp lighting it up, throwing all these crazy throws. I'm putting on the block, someone bite him, and I will get more than what I paid for him. So keep that in mind too. So at 7, I got Will Levis, who's going to Carolina at 9 in this mock draft.
Yeah, another situation where I had these guys neck and neck. I will be taking Anthony Richardson with the 108. I would have put Richardson over Will Levis just because in this situation, between the two, I started leaning more towards how much overall potential can this guy give me. Mm-hmm. I feel like with these two guys, spending a late first round pick on it, I want to shoot for the moon. So that's just my personal opinion here, and I think Anthony Richardson could be a moonshot. So going to the Minnesota Vikings, I know Kirk Cousins is there, but I think with, Anthony Richardson's raw talent and kind of lack of experience in a sense, some fine tuning that needs to happen. I think playing behind Kirk maybe for a year or two, depending on what happens in Minnesota, I think could be nice from him from a development standpoint. But again, that's one of those things where you're losing out on points for a couple of years. So it's tough. I mean, long-term dynasty-wise, I think Richardson could have a better career.
Yeah.
And I guess there's still a lot in the air as far as who stays in Minnesota. Is JJ going to stay? Yeah. And that could very well change Richardson's, value if they don't have a guy like Justin Jefferson there.
I agree 100%. I mean, if you want to take a damn shot, you take a damn shot in this guy. He's got all the talent in the world. I really want him to go to a situation where I feel like the coaches are really going to be able to be patient with him and make the offense around him, because I think he has a lot of tools that will be very valuable to have.
So that's where it is interesting. Like, whichever quarterback does go to Carolina, like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, maybe they could deploy a similar attack like Cam Newton.
Right.
But,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know.
See, if Richardson went there at 9, I think I would have taken over Levis. I mean, you got to think too. I mean, Levis, if he goes to Carolina and Richardson does go to Minnesota, I think Levis would probably start quicker, but is that really going to be great for him? I don't know. Yeah,
and just real quick before Devin gets into his next pick, I think this is where we kind of start thinking about how this mock draft is. Now, I do, again, like I said, appreciate this mock draft. I think it is realistic in the sense that people are going to be undervalued, overvalued. This is one of those things where I don't know if Richardson falls to the 24th overall pick in this draft. Who knows? He could fall there, he could go later, he could go earlier. Personally, my thoughts are he doesn't fall past pick 20 in my mind, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think he'll go earlier. I think if I had to guess right now, I think all 4 quarterbacks will go in the top 10 probably, just because people will trade up maybe, but
yeah,
we'll see. One could definitely fly. So we're on the 9th pick now, I believe.
Yep.
So 109, tough. I got 2 receivers I've been debating between, and I am going to end up going with Jordan Addison. He goes 22nd to the Chargers. Reason I kind of thought maybe going somewhere else is just because there's a lot of damn mouths to feed on that Chargers offense with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But Keenan is on the wrong side of 30 years old, so he's getting older. Addison definitely has a similar build to Devontae Smith. When he was at Pittsburgh, he was Receiver of the Year award in college football, so he has a lot of traits. I'm definitely a little bit concerned with his size, but seeing a Devontae Smith be able to dominate the NFL gives me some hope. But again, Devontae Smith was a Heisman Trophy winner, so they're on different levels of production. But Addison does have a lot of tools. He's a very good receiver. I think he's going to be a very solid guy. I just don't think his ceiling is as high. So if you want a guy that maybe is going to produce right away, that will give you more set production and maybe not as risky, I understand with Addison, but I don't think he's going to be a guy where he's going to be the number 1 receiver in his offense. I think he's going to be good, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar level receiver. So keep that in mind. Chargers, it's going to be good for them because they pass the ball so damn much. I know they got a new OC coming in, but Mike Williams and Keenan Allen seem to get hurt a lot too, guys. So keep that in mind. And they did show that when they did get hurt, they didn't really have a lot of receivers to help behind that. Palmer's a solid guy, but he ain't no superstar.
Yeah.
So I got Addison at 9 there, going to the Chargers.
Yep, I'm with Devin there. I like his analysis. I think he reasonably will finish wide receiver number 25 to 15 in his career. He could probably finish earlier. It just depends on the targets. I mean, I don't think he's as much of a big play guy.
No.
Just think he's more of a slot, quick, a lot of target guy. Anyways, so with the 10th overall pick, guys, this is where it really got tough for me. Some of the landing spots were not adding up for me. There's some players that I really like on this list that I just can't draft this early because of landing spots. So number 10, I'm going to take another running back here, guys. I really like the landing spot. I got to go with Tank Bigsby here, guys, for Buffalo. I think Buffalo finally finds a running back that can be more of a workhorse back. I'm sorry, James Cook. You're probably not going to be in there as much anymore if Tank Bigsby gets drafted to the Buffalo Bills. I'm liking that. Tank Bigsby ran quite the route tree in college, which, again, he could be on the field for 3 downs with that capability. I think he's got the size, the power to be on the goal line, getting touchdowns, taken away from Josh Allen, running the ball so much. I don't think that's good for his career. I think the Bills know that.
Yeah.
With this mock draft, guys, getting drafted late 3rd round, I think that's a little bit too late for me. That very well could be how the NFL does it, guys, but I haven't done super deep dive on the complete list of the class as far as defense, offensive line, all those players, but I just feel like once we got out of the first 2 running backs like Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think the next like 3 or 4 running backs on my list of rankings are severely underrated in this mock draft. So it's kind of tough because yes, Tank Bigsby's drafted late in the 3rd round here, and that's not the greatest draft capital, but it's still a great landing spot in my mind, and I do think that I could see him getting drafted at the end of the 2nd round to a team realistically. So anyways, I like this landing spot. I think Tank Bigsby, the door is wide open for him to succeed here, guys, and running backs hold value in Dynasty, and so do wide receivers, everything else. But running backs are very valuable to have in a 12-team league. So that's my take on it. Sorry for long. Yeah.
I mean, that's good. I mean, it's great analysis. And again, when I was looking at this, obviously I was like, why the hell are these running backs going so late? Because the NFL is starting to value running backs a little bit less, but this is a really deep running back class, we think, and I was looking more at landing spots than draft capital for this, in my opinion, just because they're going way later than I think they will, especially after the combine and when their measurables come out and people are going to be like, all right, yeah, they're better than we thought. So now we're at the next pick. I'm going to go Sean Tucker. He went 64th to Philadelphia. I love the Dan landing spot, especially I think if they drafted him here, I think that Miles Sanders is probably out the door, and this is a really good offense. You want pieces in great offenses, and that's why I got to go with Sean Tucker. I mean, might not necessarily be my 3rd-ranked running back. He's probably around 4 or 5 still for me, but I just loved what I saw on the tape. I loved his production, and I loved his receiving ability, and I think in Philadelphia, he's talented enough to be a really good damn back. I think he could be better than Miles Sanders ever was there, so that's why I love the landing spot, and I think his talent will match that, and there's so many damn other talented guys in this Eagle offense, like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard. He might be an afterthought for defenses, and maybe he'll get even better production and looks. So I love the landing spot, so I got to go with Tucker here.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Tucker's landing spot in this mock draft certainly moved him up my rankings. I think he would fit well into the system, like Devin said, especially with the read options. Being more of a zone running back, I think that fits him perfectly. Not a guy who's going to be going through the A-gap, He's going to be on the outside. I like that fit. Moved up the rankings for me. I didn't take him just that high. I think I was more leaning towards players who might have a longer career at this range. But I'm going to go with Rashee Rice at the number 112 here, guys. I get it. There's might be some other receivers that I think are maybe a little bit better, maybe 1 guy or 2 guys, I should say. But I like Rashee Rice's landing spot with Carolina, being paired up with DJ Moore and then Will Levis. I know we are uncertain what's going to happen with Will Levis, so I'm just going to take it from the standpoint that Will Levis is going to perform to his expectations, and that'll be good for Rashee Rice. I get there's a lot of uncertainty there with that, but I think it's nice that the Carolina Panthers are investing in a quarterback and then a receiver here. Rashee Rice won't be walking into a room where he's automatically the number 1 target. I think it'll be nice for him to be the 2nd option to start his career. And not have so much pressure. I like his build. I like his play style. I think the 12th overall pick for him right here would be a solid selection.
No, I love it. I mean, again, I think Will Levis, I don't think it's going to be too hard to be better than Sam Darnold. Let's hope. So
yeah,
I like that. I like that quarterback receiver pairing for them to develop together. So to start off the 2nd round now, 201, I'm going to go with a guy that I hate the landing spot. Yeah, you could say we're biased or whatever because we're Packer fans, but I'm going to go with Josh Downs here at the 201. Talented guy. Watch his tape. He put up amazing production and really pass-heavy offense. He looks like a guy that has a really damn high ceiling and could be a superstar potential player. Again, I do think where it's going to happen where he needs to go to a good spot too to get good production. Now, yes, he's going to the Bears where they have a lot of targets open because all they had was Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet really, and that's all they still have at the moment. But again, Fields, he's a dynamic quarterback, don't get me wrong. He's a very good runner, very elusive player, but he sucks at the passing still, and I need to see improvement. Maybe he's going to really improve this next season and really surprise me. I think if Josh Downs went to a better situation, I think he'd be earlier in this mock, but I just don't love the landing spot. But again, maybe Fields will develop his passing abilities better, and Downs will develop with him there. He's going 36, so they're valuing pretty damn high, which I like. But again, I'm just nervous with Fields throwing the ball. That's my only little thing I got to say.
Yeah, I agree, and it's tough. I mean, I love Downs too, and this would just be so disappointing if this happened. It would really kill his value for me. I mean, I have him ranked even lower than where Devin took him. I know he's got great talent, but I hate to see my receiver go to the Bears for 4 years and hope that Justin Fields picks it up because, Mooney was supposed to be the next great thing, and look what happened. I know he got injured, but it wasn't looking good for him.
No.
All the other receivers in that offense were not great either.
Claypool didn't do anything.
Yeah,
He got traded there.
Seriously. So
yeah, Ryan, don't try trading him to us. Anymore.
Right. I mean, we'll see if Downs even falls that far in the NFL draft. I mean, I could see him falling that far, but I could also see him going earlier. I could see him going later. And I also think that the Bears, if they were wise, I know that they could use some more passing threats, but I think if they're pretty in tune with, how their offense is, I don't think getting a receiver is really going to improve the offense that much. Their quarterback's the main issue right now, I think.
He's got to develop better. He's got to improve his skills.
Yeah. So, anywho, going on to the 202, correct?
Yep.
I'm gonna go with Michael Mayer here, guys. I like getting Michael Mayer at this spot. There's just, it's just with landing spots and talents included. Usually I'd have Michael Mayer like a little bit lower than this, but I just think right here I feel pretty confident with his spot. I know the quarterback situation isn't great. I know there's some mouths to feed there, guys, but I still feel like this is a decent landing spot for him, and you never know. I think getting your hands on a really nice tight end prospect, especially one that goes, I believe, 16 overall, I think at this rate, might as well take him here.
Yeah, I think it's a good spot. He's a talented guy. I don't think he's going to be superstar, but I think he's going to be very good. You got anything else to add about Mayer? Or?
No, I think that's about it.
All right. So, the 203, I'm going to take Kayshon Boutte. In this mock day, I'm going 56 to Detroit, so towards the end of the second round. I think there could be better landing spots, but again, they were a pretty damn good offense. They're very dynamic in the passing game. They already got Amara St. Brown, and they have, Jameson Williams, who everyone thinks is going to be the best player ever. But maybe Boutte will show up day one and be like, yeah, sorry, J-Mo, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
We'll see if that comes true. But I like Boutte. I love his talents. Such a good breakout age. I think LSU receivers just add another level to me when I get excited about them in the NFL because there's so many guys that have produced so well in the NFL from LSU. And he showed that he can be good. He's kind of had a rough year, but again, he showed early signs that he can develop into a superstar. And that's why I got to take Boutte here. I just think his potential is off the damn roof. I don't even know if I could climb up there to get it.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think that's a pretty good range for him. I got to say with the 204 guys here, I got to go with Zay Flowers. He's not my highest prospect out there as far as, drafting. I personally don't think he goes 31 to Kansas City.
No.
I think this guy is a late second-round pick. But considering in this draft they have him going in the first round to Kansas City, it's a horse apiece. They got a lot of mouths to feed there, a lot of middle-tier receivers there that I think Zay Flowers could come up and play above. I genuinely, I don't think if the Chiefs take a receiver in the first 3 rounds of this draft. I don't think it'd be wise. I know they still got to figure out what's going on with Juju, but they got Kadarius Toney there. They got Sky Moore that they just invested in last year.
Yep.
They got Kelsey. I don't know what MBS's contract's looking like, but
he's there a couple more years still. Yeah.
Just if he goes there, I think he could work his way up, but it just, it's tough. But I think, obviously getting paired with Patrick Mahomes and taking the risk at this 204, the 16th pick in the draft, I think pairing it with one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, I think that's always an appeal, and getting that in the early to mid second round in a 12-person league is pretty good value.
No, I agree. Again, I'm not super high on him either. I think he could be good, but the landing spot is so damn good, just because that offense is so dynamic. But again, I don't know if he'd really be able to get a chance to compete in that. So now with the next pick here at the 205, I believe, right?
Yep.
The 205. It's a tough situation here for me to pick here. Not the highest on him, but I think I'm going to have to go with all these people who they love him. Devin Achane here. I just think the landing spot's pretty good. I know Dameon Pierce is there, but I think diving into more, I think I was a little too like low on him, but I still don't think he's going to be amazing. But in PPR, I think just with his speed, and if Houston does have an offense with CJ Stroud, I think they're going to get the ball quick, and maybe he can have a nice role in the passing game. And he looked better in between tackles than I actually thought he would with his size. But again, I think for him to be actually good in the NFL, he's going to need to be with another running back that's good, that can handle that workload like Dameon Pierce. So again, he's not top 5 or top 6 probably in my running back rankings. But again, I'm going off draft capital. They have him going 66. And I think the spot is pretty good because I think as they're developing a young offense with a new coach here with CJ Stroud, and then they got Dameon Pierce already, I think it'd be a nice spot for him. And again, maybe he will be better than we think, but I don't know where all this analyst is coming from with all these people think he's going to be the next damn great thing. Jamal Charles comparison I saw somewhere. I just think that's a little bullish, but again, I just think this is a good spot to take him because these other running backs that I do have higher on my list, I didn't really like the capital they got, and some of the landing spots are a little like, come on, really? Mm-hmm. They really got to go there? But that's why I took him here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't judge you for it. I personally still would take him a little bit later, but it is tough. I mean, who knows what Dameon Pierce's future, what's going to happen there. I know he's an absolute dog, but Devin Achane, he could find his way on the field 1 to 2 times per first down. So
right.
First, second, third down, I could see him for sure on third downs, depending how far away they are from the marker. But I could see him finding his way in there on a first down or second down if they're looking to pass, or if they're doing like a 2 running back set for sure. So yeah, definitely interesting there. I think I'm going to have to go with another running back here with a 206. It's just really tough with these landing spots and how low people are getting, drafted. I mean, some of these guys getting picked in the 4th and 5th round, it's just low.
Right.
But I'm still a very big fan of this prospect. I'm loving him coming in. We'll see what the combine says about him. But Kendre Miller at the 206, going to the Carolina Panthers, getting paired up with some other young offensive rookies. I'm liking that. Draft capital, what's being spent on him, it's low. I don't like that, but I think the door is open for him there. I know Chuba was starting to have putting together some good games, but he's been there for what? This is his this is going to be his 3rd season, I think.
Yeah.
He's had 2 years, with either CMC down or CMC gone, alongside of Foreman, to really take over the backfield, and he hasn't really done that. So I don't know what his future's looking like. I'm liking Kendre Miller. He could easily take over as number 1 there. And honestly, Chuba wasn't doing too good in the receiving game. He's had a lot of drops. And I think Kendre could maybe be the exact player Chuba was supposed to be, but more.
Yeah.
Foreman, who knows what his future looks like in Carolina. I think he's a free agent, so who knows if he's even going to stay there. I could see them just letting him rock. And taking running back in the later rounds.
Yeah, I like the landing spot. Obviously, draft capital sucks, but I think the spot's pretty good, actually. So next, with my next pick here, I'm debating between 2 running backs that are going to situations where there's a veteran ahead of them, but maybe they're a little bit on the older side, so maybe they'll get more opportunity sooner than we think. So I'm going to go with Zach Charbonnet here. He goes to the Titans here at 73rd pick. Obviously, King Henry's still there. He is getting older, but again, he's an alien. Who knows how long he'll last? He might last forever. He might last till he's fucking 36. Who the hell knows? But I think Charbonnet is a very dynamic player. Had a nose for the end zone. Very good receiving back. He likes to punish people when he runs. I like that. I saw a comparison to Leonard Fournette, which honestly I think could be maybe a little bit better than he will be, but that's not a bad comp for him. So I think going to Tennessee would be solid. He could probably have that 3rd down route immediately, even though I know they got Henry more involved in the passing game. But I think, if you're willing to wait a year or 2, maybe for Henry to be done or maybe start to slow down a little bit, I don't think it's a bad pick here later in the 2nd round. So I go with Charbonnet there.
Yeah, definitely. I got to go with another running back here with a 208. Same thing here with Devin, picking between 2 running backs that we have, we like a good amount. Zach Evans, just terrible draft capital spent on him, but he goes to Cincinnati Bengals, guys. I'm liking that, that he'll be there long-term with Joe Burrow for the passing load, PPR, but he is behind Mixon. Now, Mixon just had his aggravated menacing charges dropped this past week, but it is a little bit, unsettling that he's been having, this kind of attention with with the law enforcement. So who knows how long
Yeah.
his career lasts there. I mean, he had a good season this year, and he had that crazy game with the touchdowns, but I feel like his efficiency just kind of seemed like it was dropping off a little bit.
I agree. I mean, I like the spot, but again, if Mixon's good to go, I mean, he's still only like 26, so who knows, he might still be there for a couple of years, so it's tough.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this is one of those things where we're talking what was his 20th pick in the draft. I mean, it's low investment capital for a running back that could take over and be an RB2 in the future. Maybe an RB1, but I think RB2 would be more respectable.
Yeah. So now it's getting tougher here with this mock, but I'm going to go with a guy that's been really impressing me more and more as I dove into more, and that's Dalton Kincaid, the tight end from Utah. They have him going to the Saints here at 41st pick. I love the draft capital. He looks like he'd be a really dynamic player in the receiving game, and I think he could do both. Saints, have a lot of different tight ends. Oh, they got Taysom Hill or whatever, but maybe they get that true damn tight end that they can build around and actually have another weapon because they got Olave now. Michael Thomas can't stay on the field. So I actually like the landing spot. I think the opportunity's there for him. I know Juwan Johnson's there, but I don't think it's going to take a lot to pass that guy on the depth chart. So I'd really like the draft capital. There's another tight end to debate it between, but I think there's a guy already on that team that he might have trouble passing right away. But I like this spot for Kincaid, so that's my selection.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of tight ends, 210, I'm going to go with what Devin was talking about here with Darnell Washington. I don't know. I think he's got a lot of potential for, considering how big he is. I like that he's a big target like that. Just a large player for the Tennessee offense. Big body for the run plays and just overall a big target for a quarterback, whether it's Tannehill or Malik Willis. I really don't know if Malik Willis is ever going to get a chance, but we'll see. I think it's just at this point for a tight end that's got the physicals, I think that's a pretty good spot.
No, I like it. Now at the 211, in this mock, the Giants took 2 receivers. I'm higher on one than the other, but the draft capital says I have to do this, I guess. Actually, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to go with X, Xavier Hutchinson here at the 211. They have him going 101st to the Giants. I actually I hope he gets better draft capital. I think he will. I think I could see him being like a 3rd-round pick probably. But I love this tape, love this story. He's a little bit of an older prospect, but he dealt with the JUCO going there and then coming back to the Division I landscape of things. But watch his tape. He's a freak. He's a big boy. And then they just had a Senior Bowl this past week, and he looked really good on one-on-ones. Looked like a dynamic guy that could be a really big red zone threat. And again, the Giants need receiver help so damn bad that I love the landing spot. And there's another receiver that ends up going to the Giants that you'll see probably later in this mock that went a little bit earlier, but I think this guy has higher potential, and I think this guy can be more consistent for your fantasy points. Yeah. So I got to go with Xavier.
Yep, I think that's good. I'm going to have to diss the same guy Devin's talking about just because, and I get it, it's late. This guy has the physicals to be like, hey, maybe this is a good spot, low risk to take him and hope that he's a beast. But again, he might be that guy who's only like 3 to 4 receptions per game, and being paired up with, Danny Dimes as your quarterback, I'm not liking that. If he was with a better quarterback, maybe I'd take him higher just because they could make it work with him. But taking Xavier Hutchinson, I think Xavier Hutchinson's more of a guy that can command more targets from a guy like Danny Jones.
Yes.
High, I don't think so. That's why I'm going to go with, the draft capital isn't high on this guy. I think it's going to be much higher. I think he doesn't fall out of the 3rd round in my eyes. But Marvin Mims gets drafted number 129 to Dallas. That's absurd in my mind. But I like him going to Dallas. Yeah. I think the door is wide open there. CD obviously is the number 1 option. They got Dalton Schultz, but, I don't think Dalton Schultz is, so dang good where they couldn't draft a guy in the 3rd round and have him come in. But I get it. This is talking late in the draft. But Marvin Mims, guys, I like what he would add to the Dallas Cowboys offense. I think he'd add another deep threat to their offense, and I think he could get work done in the short and middle game as well on the other side of CeeDee Lamb. So I'm going to take Marvin Mims. I love the Dallas landing spot for him in the last pick of the 2nd round.
Yeah. So now to kick off the 3rd round,
I'm going to force you to do it, aren't I?
Yeah, I think I'll end up doing it. I'll do it with the 1st pick, 3rd round. I'll go with Jalen Hyatt. They got him going 58th to the Giants. Speedster, had a really big year at Tennessee. But from what I've seen, a lot of his touchdowns and plays were plays that were broken, that he just used his speed, which, again, could definitely work in the NFL. But look at the guys that are just speed threats that have dominated fantasy football. There's really one guy, and he's a one out of none, and it's Tyreek Hill. Now, I've just never been a guy that loves these deep threats. John Ross, Henry Ruggs is starting to come to his own, and then got a little wild. But these deep threats just question me. I think Hyatt is just going to be a guy that's boomer bust, and I hate having that on my fantasy team. I know, that's really appealing for your flex spot. Well, I want to look for a guy that I know I can at least get 8 or 9 points. Yeah, he could get that on one play, but yeah, he could get 0 most weeks. Giants, he got good opportunity possibly, but is Daniel Jones really going to be able to feed him these deep balls? I don't know. Daniel Jones, I kind of diss him a lot. He proved me wrong a little bit, but still, I don't know if he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to hit Hyatt on all these deep throws. So if Hyatt was going to a team with a quarterback that has a cannon, even with my disagreements on him, I would rank him a little higher. But Hyatt, 301, I mean, I think at this point it's worth taking a chance on. He won't be on any of my fantasy teams personally, but...
Yeah, I just feel like when I really think about Jalen Hyatt, I really just think he's going to be like a MVS.
Right.
And it's just tough, but that's what I think of when I see Jalen Hyatt play.
I agree.
So, yeah. So that was the first pick in the third round. Second pick in the third round, guys, I'm going to go with Parker Washington.
Yeah.
Going to Atlanta. It's
ATL.
It's not the greatest landing spot, personally. I mean, yeah, he gets drafted 76. That's an area I'd think Marvin Mims would get drafted in. But, that's some pretty good draft capital invested in him, guys. I think Atlanta, they still got to figure out the quarterback situation, so we'll see what happens there.
Yep.
I think that can significantly improve his overall production for his career. But again, he's going to be battling now with Jahmyr Gibbs for receptions. He's going to be battling with Drake London. He's going to be battling with Kyle Pitts. But Kyle Pitts and Drake London, I think those guys are mainly more of a deep threat. The biggest thing is just their deep threat capability. Drake London, he's probably got more of a red zone, and Kyle Pitts probably got more of a red zone target command than Parker Washington would. But I think Parker Washington would work really nicely in the short game and over the middle of the field in the medium game. More of a Deebo Samuel type player. I like that for quarterbacks, say, whether it's Ritter or Mariota, whatever it happens to be there. Just a nice, easy pass to that guy where they don't have to fit into tight windows for a guy like Drake London who can't get as much separation. And Kyle Pitts probably can be that kind of a player too, but I just like that Parker Washington kind of separates himself from Drake London in that regard. So I think that's a decent spot for him at the 302.
Yeah, I think too, if Atlanta in this draft upcoming, if they really build the rest of their team, get another receiver, get their O-line going and their defense a little bit, I would love a quarterback in 2024 to go there because that'd be a really good spot. And then if they also added, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, dangerous.
Then all they need is that quarterback. And I understand if you want to give Ritter a shot for a whole year and maybe you guys suck and then you get Caleb Williams.
Yeah, that'd be dangerous.
That'd be hot. All right, so now at the 303, I'm going to go with a quarterback just because he got pretty good draft capital, and I think with the spot he's going, he actually could start. I don't know a ton about him, but I'm going to go with Tanner McKee. I know he went to Stanford, was a really high recruit coming out. Maybe Davis Mills 2.0 here.
Maybe.
But he's going 71st to the Raiders here, and the Raiders are moving on from Carr. I expect the Raiders to try to bring in a veteran, or maybe they will take someone with that 7th pick. But I'm going to go Tanner McKee just because it's his super flex, and he might have potential to start right away, and that's a guy you could put in your second quarterback spot or have a little more quarterback depth on your team. So don't know a ton about the guy, got to dive into him more, but getting pretty solid draft capital and a chance to start is why I got to take the quarterback here at the 303.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the rest of this list, I mean, certainly there are some guys who might be able to, put together a good career, but again, super flex, this guy, he might ride the taxi squad for a few years if he's behind a veteran and develop. Guy like Jordan Love, who's kind of, I think, been forgotten over the past couple of years, and now that Rodgers is really looking to be on his way out, and Jordan Love showed up against Eagles that one game and really put together some nice plays.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to reemerge on people's draft boards for Dynasty startups and trades and all that stuff. So I could see Tanner McKee, being one of those guys that obviously getting drafted way later than Jordan Love was, but sitting on someone's taxi squad for a couple years and re-enters a picture. And honestly, this late in the draft, take a shot on a guy like that and let him ride the taxi squad. All right, so 304 guys. I'm going to have to go with another receiver here just because of, I think the landing spot's pretty good. And I think also just considering that, I can give wide receivers a little bit more time to maybe not do as well and develop and have a career after their third or fourth year in the league. I think this is what it could look like for this guy. Cedric Tillman, guys, going to the Cardinals. Who knows what's going to happen with D-Hop. I don't think that they really have, besides Marquise Brown, anyone else in this roster that he would have a problem with maybe getting, reps over.
Right.
So, I think at this spot in the draft, I think taking a shot on this guy with the Cardinals. I know Kyler Murray's kind of been iffy lately as far as a dynasty quarterback is concerned, but I still think they're not going to give up on him. I still think he's a good quarterback and he still gets the job done. So I think this is a pretty good spot and pretty good pairing.
Yeah, maybe that Tennessee receiver will work out.
Yeah, right.
So next pick, I'm going to go with a guy that I watched earlier in the year, and I was like, damn, this guy looks pretty good. But then I started finding out that his draft capital wasn't looking the best. But where he goes here, 89th to the Jaguars, I'm going to go with Nathaniel Tank Dell out of Houston. Watch his tape, guys. You will probably get excited. He's a very good explosive player, very, very good route runner, but his size is a concern. He did play in lower competition. But I think at this point, I'd rather take a chance on a guy like that than, guys that are going to be backups. Going to Jacksonville, I know there's a lot of guys there with Ridley coming in and Christian Kirk, but maybe he proves everybody wrong and develops a rapport with T-Law. I think at this point, it's worth taking a shot on this guy. Talent speaks, and maybe he'll be one of those guys that just, regardless of size, is so talented and such a good route runner and just knows how to play the game and knows how to get open that he could become a very good player. So I'm going to take a shot on Tank Dell here.
Yep. Not a bad pick. All right, so at the 306, guys, I'm going to go with Dwayne McBride to the Los Angeles Rams. I know it's got low draft capital invested in him, guys, but reasonably, I think he might get a little bit more draft capital just because of how his stats were in college. I know he wasn't playing against the best defensive players, but the best defenses, I should say, but a lot of his advanced stats were stacking up right next to Bijan Robinson, but I know he wasn't playing against the best defenses. Mm-hmm. At this point in the draft, when we're talking the 30th overall pick or around that area, I'm trying to take a running back who has a chance in the future or right away to have starter potential. And I'm not interested in taking a running back who's going to be a career backup. Right. So, and waiting for someone to get injured. I think the running back room in Los Angeles for the Rams, I think Dwayne McBride could take over. It could be an Elijah Mitchell situation where no one thought that was going to happen. They thought Trey Sermon's backfield, no questions asked in this draft. I think we don't know what's going to happen with Cam Akers. So I'm liking that for Dwayne McBride.
Yeah, I like the spot. Going in with Sean McVay would be very interesting. So now, guys, at 307, I'm going to go with the tight end. And I'm going to go debating between the two that I kind of have next in my rankings. I am going to go with Luke Musgrave from Oregon State. They have him going 61st, which is pretty good for tight end. And he's going to the Bengals. That's why it's like, okay, shit. We like that spot. I know Hayden Hurst is there, but I don't think it's going to take a lot to pass him. It seemed like Musgrave, from what I saw, was a pretty good pass blocker and pass blocker as well, so that might get him more opportunity quickly. And you want to be attached to guys in great offenses. And I don't think it's going to be too tough to pass Hayden Hurst up. I think he's a solid guy, but I think Musgrave going to that spot, getting pretty good draft capital, why not take a shot on a guy that maybe could send your tax squad for a year or two and might be a solid tight end option for you on bye weeks or things like that. So at that point, there's no one really in the receiver room right now that I would take over him. So,
all right, guys. Yeah, I love that land spot. I mean, Cincinnati with paired up with Joe Burrow, fantastic. 308. I'm gonna go with another running back here, guys. Just gonna keep on taking shots at running backs at this point. Mm-hmm. Izzy Abanikanda to the Los Angeles Chargers. It's weird because the Chargers have been drafting running backs, it seems like every dang year. And I know Isaiah Spiller. Yeah, exactly. I know Isaiah Spiller pre-draft combine was looking like the third running back off the boards. But then the combine came along, he fell. I still think he has potential to maybe be a guy like a running back 3 or 4 in Los Angeles. But I just feel like if they take another running back here, might as well just take a shot. Eckler's getting older. Take a shot at another running back. I don't really like any of the other running backs as much as him on this list. I mean, they could definitely do damage, but I'm just having a hard time really taking anyone else at this spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's getting late in the draft, and the Chargers are trying to find that complimentary piece of Eckler, and they have not found it with Kelly or Spiller. So, yeah, maybe it's Izzy. So next here at the 309, I'm going to go with another tight end, Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa. Iowa produces a lot of good damn tight ends in the NFL, so that's what kind of intrigues me. And then his landing spot, the Chiefs. Travis Kelce, who knows how long he'll play for. He is 33, but he's still really, really good. I know Noah Gray's there, but I don't think I've seen anything that's like, Noah Gray's automatically being the tight end after Kelce. So Laporta, maybe he develops. Maybe Kelce retires earlier. And being attached to Patrick Mahomes, yeah, I'll take a shot at him at the end of the third round. And his college pedigree where Iowa's produced some really good names, Kittle, Hawkinson, and Noah Fant. I'll take a shot in Laporta.
Yeah, that is very nice. Next pick, I'm going to go with Hendon Hooker, guys. Superflex. I think Hendon Hooker put together a really nice season last year before the injury came along, but I know he's older, so that's why he's probably getting drafted so late with the 108 to Denver. I know Russell Wilson's there, guys, but who knows how long he's going to stay around in the league, especially if he doesn't start to put together a good season here this next year. And he's injured, so he's gonna probably need some time to recover and get back to 100%. I like him, sitting and maybe learning for a year or two. I think he could maybe come in and make a decent impact. But at this point, take another quarterback, take a shot on somebody, and hope maybe he pans out or he's like a decent throw in here and there on bye weeks.
It's just so tough that he's like 25 already.
I know
it's the only thing, but you never know. You've seen weirder stuff happen at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
So now 311, I'm going to go with a guy that I've been watching him more. He's impressed me more, and I like the spot, and he just competed at the Senior Bowl and did really good. So I'm going to go with Tajay Spears. Then I'm going 118th to the Washington Commanders. Brian Robinson, did steal a show at the rest of the year, getting a lot of volume. It wasn't very good efficiently. And then there's Antonio Gibson, where I could see him being on a different team pretty soon. So I like the potential there. Again, just taking a shot where maybe he could end up finding himself as a starter on the Commanders here and there. So he really impressed me from what I saw, and really blowing up the Senior Bowl. I know, again, not all the top prospects are there, but that shows me something that he's a competitive guy, and if he gets opportunity, maybe he's going to run with it. And I'm going to go with Spears and take a shot there down the third round.
Yeah, I think that's good. And for the last pick of our draft, I'm going to take a shot on Roschon Johnson, guys. We'll see what his combine shapes out to look like, but if he is fast and explosive for his size, I think that's going to be very impressive for NFL teams. Now, I know he's getting drafted 145 to Las Vegas, and there's some players who are drafted ahead of him, but, like Kenny McIntosh, 111 to Cleveland. I just don't know if I like him being behind, Nick Chubb, and I know there's potential that Roschon could be behind, Josh Jacobs, which would stink. But we don't know what's happening with Josh Jacobs yet.
If he's not there.
Right. So at this moment in time, if this is how it were to play out, I would still maybe even take Roschon and let him chill for a couple of years, and maybe Josh Jacobs gets hurt and he's a nice little handcuff or something. So I think he could be a similar player to Josh Jacobs. Maybe not as good, but similar play style with a big body like that.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's getting overlooked because he's back with the Bijan, but his advanced stats show that he's maybe better than people think.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, guys, that wraps up our 3-round mock draft. It's our 4.0, so we have 3 others out there. Christian just made one recently. Go check that out if you haven't already. Those are our mock drafts at that point in time. I know Devin's was the earliest before we really started finding out more. But, who's declaring and whatnot. So there's some back and forth there. But, guys, those are our perfect scenario. If people landed in the perfect spot, where we would take them. This is, again, more of this more realistic mock draft. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. We're going to be coming out with more videos soon related to draft content. Hopefully we start getting the IDP videos out there soon too.
Do it. Join it.
Yeah, take a look. I know you guys will like it and enjoy it. And it adds another angle to these drafts. Makes it more fun. Makes it harder to decide where am I gonna pick a guy. So
yeah, I mean, like some of these spots are in the third round and stuff where it's like, do I really want to take this tight end that might be a backup? That's where IDP is gonna fall. And like I don't know if we'll do a mock draft with IDP involved. Maybe we will, but it's so dynamic, guys. It's so fun. It's, offensive players are more fun to watch, but it adds another dynamic when you're watching fantasy and you see, oh my God, I have that guy. He got an interception or he got a sack. It's
Right.
fun. We want to use as much NFL players as we want because there's so many talented guys on defense. So really look into it, guys.
Yeah. All right, guys. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a like, drop a comment if you have any questions. Drop a subscription if you want to keep on staying in tune with these kind of videos. Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys. See ya.
See ya.